everyone, welcome to Random Encounter 348 or 348. It's that time of year again, and no, I'm not talking about the time of a cavalcade of video game announcements. I mean, it's allergy season. I am a sniffly, crying mess. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, why do I feel like I have sleep everywhere in my face, not just my eyes? But you know what? This is also the period that I think of as the calm before the storm. And why is that? Because next week is not E3. It's everyone's favorite time of year when all the games get announced, and some of them are even coming out in 2026. So in 2 weeks, we are, of course, going to have our usual not E3 extravaganza. But just because the next episode of Random is going to be packed doesn't mean that we don't have a packed show today as well. And to help us out with that, joining us today is Bob.
Hi.
Audra.
Hello.
And Mike.
Hello.
So we had some big news that came out this week, kind of the first big news to come out of not E3 pre-week. And that is Square Enix had a kind of a 40th anniversary video for Dragon Quest, and it revealed some of what's going on behind the scenes with Dragon Quest 12. And there is some tea being spilled, coffee being spilled, considering what we're talking about later in the episode, spoilers. And that is that Dragon Quest 12 restarted from scratch following a team reshuffle and development hurdles. And we don't have any real, there's some hints, obviously, but the idea is the Flames of Fate was the original subtitle for the game. And it looked to be a really like an edgier take on an adult Dragon Quest. And that's out the window now. And now we have Beyond Dreams. They moved the game away from a slightly darker tone, and now it looks exactly like a Dragon Quest game, which is not a bad thing. It's the usual. Toriyama's character designs are there. Tsuyama's score is there. They completed their character designs and scores before they died. So this will presumably be the last game in the series to feature kind of the old guard. And I have to say, looking at the hero, I made this joke a little earlier. It looks like they were like, we kind of want to keep the edgy tone, but how can we do it? I know. And they created like a hero that looks like a 75-year-old's vision of an edgy guy. There's been a lot of conversation about the main character of the game and his look, which is like Chrono with an undercut. And I don't know. I don't love it. I think might grow on me, but everything I've seen of the game looks like a Dragon Quest game, but it looks like a more expansive version of a Dragon Quest game.
I went there to be more talk on the humanoid lizard character, dragon character that they show.
Yeah, they were
for
cool.
a split second. Yeah, they look neat.
I think it just taken on like going off character design. I know a few people on the site were talking about this in Discord, and I agree that the hero of 11, like just at first glance, didn't really do much for me either visually. But I know people like 11 and like the character, so I don't know. I think we'll get used to it, and maybe it'll grow on us. Although Chrono with an undercut is like, I can't shake that ever since you said it. Yeah,
it's the usual haircut, just shave sides.
Yeah,
and I mean, honestly, I have a lot of complicated feelings about Dragon Quest 11. I like it. I don't love it. I played through the whole thing. And it's an exceptional Dragon Quest game and a celebration of the whole series. And it's very interesting that this also looks like it's going to be a celebration of the whole series. I kind of felt like Dragon Quest 11 was almost like the series finale, where it sort of tapped into elements of every single Dragon Quest game that came before it. And maybe they were going to be moving forward with something new. But it doesn't. It still looks like the same colorful world and everything. And I mean, maybe they are moving to an open world version of it. We don't really know yet. Apparently, there's going to be new elements that have never been seen in a mainline entry before. Maybe they'll work in some building mechanics. Wouldn't that be neat, Mike?
I mean, I guess if you're into that kind of thing.
Do we know why they had to scrap the original version?
They didn't say. It's probably internal politics. If I had to take a wild guess, I would assume that they were having a lot of trouble nailing the tone.
I mean, for better or for worse, I think Dragon Quest thing is tradition, right? we don't need to talk about Final Fantasy and talking about Dragon Quest, but people always have this thing about Final Fantasy. It's like, oh, this isn't Final Fantasy. I'm like, yeah, but every game is different. Like Final Fantasy's whole point is to try and reinvent or really change things each time. Dragon Quest is the opposite. Dragon Quest is like, this is the traditional thing. We still have sound effects from the 80s in these games, and that's fine. Like there's room for, you can have the nostalgia and still grow and make it modern. And I don't know. I'm curious. I feel like maybe they felt like a mainline game wasn't the place to shift the tone, and maybe that game will show up again as a spin-off title, which I think would maybe make more sense, because I think maybe that brighter tone is what the mainline game should be, and maybe that's where they landed too.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any Dragon Quest protagonist that will go off and kill chaos, this guy looks like he would. So yeah, it's probably going to be a while till we hear more about this. We got to see a promotional trailer, and it looks really, really good. It looks like a Dragon Quest game, and I guess that's what they wanted to go for. It does almost make more sense to me that maybe Dragon Quest 13 might be much more of a departure, considering that the longtime composer and the longtime character designer are not here anymore. So that might be a time for new blood to come in. They may have just wanted this to be like the final hurrah for this style. But we'll see. I mean, yeah. I don't love the main character, but some of the other characters look great. Like you said, the lizard guy is really, really cool looking. The woman with a scarf looks cool, and there's like a robo looking guy. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be something. It's going to be a hit in Japan no matter what it is. But I hope that it lives up to folks' expectations, and we will know probably in 2028 maybe.
Yeah, I think it will. I think the point about Toriyama and Sugiyama is good though, because they could obviously reuse the score in some way. Like I think they will keep a lot of familiar music elements, for better or for worse. But the theme will be there. But I think in terms of art and character design for 13, I really think they'd have to go in a way different direction. Like don't get someone that creates characters that look like Toriyama. I think that would be, I don't know. I mean, whatever.
Or God, worse, dump them all into AI and pick out your favorites.
I wasn't gonna go there, but
I
know. Yeah, I think that will be a good time for that. Although we're way ahead of ourselves on that one.
Yeah.
So far, I think 12 is looking good. It's just nice to actually see an update on the game. It's been I was reading stories about it too, and I had forgotten how long it had been. So I'm like, it's like, this game was announced on the 35th anniversary of Dragon Quest, and here on the 40th anniversary, we got another look at it, or actually our first look at it,
our first second look.
Yeah.
Our second first look, yes.
I hope it maintains its DNA as the series goes on. Like Dragon Quest is just comfort food. And when I review games or play games, like I give huge points for innovation, like things that do things differently. But I don't want that from Dragon Quest. I want Dragon Quest to be Dragon Quest, and that's okay. Like Mike said, there's room for that as well as innovation, all that other stuff.
Yeah, almost like a more polished version of itself every single time.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're open to and have done and continue to do so many spinoffs. They announced a new spinoff at this event too. So there's room to go in all different directions.
Well, let's move on now to the first game we're going to be talking about. And actually, interesting pivot there. We can talk about tradition. And this game looks like a lot of traditionally the favorite games. Actually, this is, if we want to talk a comfort game, probably my biggest comfort game is Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, and technically the Switch too. The Switch and the Switch too. And I love those games. I love them very, very much. And a few years ago, one of my favorite developers released a trailer for their next game. And boy, oh boy, it looked like a Game Boy Color game. And more specifically, it looked like a Game Boy Color game that was inspired by Link's Awakening. And that was Mina the Hollower. So I wanted to get into it a little bit first. So Yacht Club Games is a developer that one of the biggest Kickstarter successes, and also became a millstone around their neck, hilariously. They wanted to do their own take on like an 8-bit side scroller, such like Mega Man or DuckTales, that kind of thing. And they created their own character, their own unique attack mechanic, and that was Shovel Knight. And Shovel Knight was a pretty damn big success, and it was amazing. It was such a great game. And then, unfortunately, because of the Kickstarter and the Kickstarter doing so well, they had a lot of stretch goals, and those included like 4 campaigns that included you could play as different enemies from Shovel Knight. And rather than just release them as like a couple of levels of DLC, Yacht Club Games released them as like full-fledged games that were almost as big as the original. And not just that, while they were doing asset reuse with like the environments and enemies and stuff like that, they were also completely changing the way each character handled. And playing each one was a remarkable experience in just seeing how many, I guess, twists on a theme, themes on a variation they could really come up with. So I guess they've been in trouble a little bit financially the last few years, presumably because they haven't been getting that much money, because they've been giving away these campaigns for free. And their next big game was Mina the Hollower. So they're moving away from side scroller into a action RPG. And it just got released. And Bob, what'd you think?
It is phenomenal.
It's so good. You and I have had quite like the last 2 episodes of Random Encounter, we've been eating good with action RPGs.
Seriously. Yeah, no, and I love Shovel Knight. Platformer is now my favorite genre, but Shovel Knight, what they were able to do, like you said, reinventing mechanics and how to navigate this 2D landscape with all the different enemy characters they release, just brilliant game design. It really speaks to their talent to be able to, reinvent levels that you've played a bunch of different times, somehow very differently and satisfyingly every single time. And I have so much respect for Yacht Club for following through on their promises and providing what they said they would provide, despite the financial hardship it put them in. So I desperately want Mina the Hollower to be as good as it is. And I'm so very thrilled it is. I'm near the end. I've gotten most of, the lamps reignited. And I have so much to say about this game. It's an absolute blast to play, and it's a feast for the eyes.
I agree 100%. I'm playing through it as well. I'm not to the end. I've just beaten I'm halfway through. I've gotten 3 of the towers. And when I first went into it, I kind of was expecting, because the visual presentation is very Link's Awakening, and also the fact that your character jumps, very similar to Link when Link has the feather in that game. But very quickly upon starting it, you realize that while the perspective and the look is Link's Awakening, the feel of it is very Castlevania. Right from the aesthetics being a little bit creepy to also the fact that you have like a sidearm or a side weapon. It feels, and also the default weapon, you can choose between a hammer, knives, and a whip. Well, not a whip, a mace, but it's functionally a whip.
It's a whip.
It's a whip. Yeah, it's a whip.
It's a mace whip.
I started playing it. I was like, oh, this is playing familiar. Like, I feel like I know how to play this, but I've never played this before. And then very, very soon after that, I was like, oh, it's a soulslike. Okay. Because I died. So
you die a lot in this game.
You do die a lot in this game.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a very forgiving Souls-like, though.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, it's a very forgiving Souls-like. So first off, Bob, let's talk about the visuals of the game. It really does blend retro aesthetics with modern mechanics, I would say.
Yeah, they've done a phenomenal job of making it look retro with modern sensibilities. There's detail everywhere. A lot of times with these retro titles, what I adore about a lot of sprite-driven artwork is what they can do with the environments to make them feel lush or well detailed. It's not just like a couple blocks here, a couple blocks there. There's so much minute detail. The grains in the wood, when buildings are tattered, they put painstaking detail into everything you see, and it's colorful too. It really it pops. Like it's enjoyable just to look at, and the way everything animates, you could tell just from a visual standpoint how much love and care went into this thing.
You really can. It looks. People have said the same thing about Shovel Knight, and it's very, very true. It looks like you remember 8-bit games looking.
Yes.
And then you play an 8-bit game and you're like, oh no, they're doing something way more complicated than that.
Yeah, I think, those old games, they did the best they could at the time, and they kind of wanted to look like this. I think the artistic vision back then, I'm just speculating, was exactly what Mina the Hollower is. Like, they wanted something to look like this, but they just didn't have the tech or the ability at the time.
Well, I just finished a couple of days ago. There is a... if you're looking for it online, you're not going to find it in official Nintendo sites, but a group released The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX HD. And it is a full-on, I guess you could call it a remake, because there are no used assets in it. Everything's original asset, but it's like a perfect one-to-one to Link's Awakening in terms of the feel of it, the graphics, everything, except that it's HD and the screen is completely pulled back. And you can basically explore the entire world without the screen shifting every single screen. And it completely changed the game for me. It was just a remarkable way to experience Link's Awakening. I loved it. It actually did feel quite a bit like the Switch remake, because that also felt like there was no screen shifting, just like this classic Zelda thing. And you want to know what? The HD quote unquote remake, the unofficial remake, I enjoyed it more than the Switch remake quite a bit. It was remarkable. So I'm coming into Mina the Hollower directly from that, and it's interesting to compare and contrast how they feel and how they control. Mina is really, really its own thing. It looks a bit like Link's Awakening, but it's not. It's very much its own thing.
I mean, the navigation, you're talking about controls, like it's still a platforming. I guess Yacht Club couldn't get away from the platforming. A lot of this game, I would say the most challenging parts are the platforming. Getting knocked around when you're trying to get across a gap or whatever.
Stupid mosquitoes in the frigging swamp level.
Yes. Yeah, especially the swamp level. But the digging mechanic is kind of like your primary way of getting around. And that's what makes her a hollower. She's able to dig around and get underneath obstacles, and it's actually a faster way to get around. So there's that mechanic where a lot of speedruns for retro games will have speedrunners doing a lot of different tech to move more quickly, like the backdashing in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. In this game, it's purely the digging mechanic. And I think if you've not played the game, you might think, is this a gimmick? Like, is it just like, okay, it's a unique way of traversing the map? No, it feels good. It feels right. Every time you do it successfully and you cross a chasm, you feel like you've really accomplished something, like every single time you're doing it. And they put in little touches with enemies, with environmental hazards to make every single jump feel a little bit different from the other ones. And you've got trinkets and you've got sidearms that let you cheat how far you can go. Because it's a retro style game, you guys basically squares. You can measure how far you can jump and how far you can dig, and then come out of the ground and jump farther by 1 or 2 squares. But you can end up crossing far larger gaps through a lot of skill-based play. Like if you time your buttons correctly, you can go 4 or 5 squares away. It helps you a penny farthing. Yes, and it helps you feel smart too. Like, it's like, oh, I wonder if I can get over there if I do this. You try to do a few different things out, and then you get across. You're like, yes, I got it. And it's got a lot of those very satisfying moments where it lets you come up with your own solutions and then rewards you for doing so.
One of the interesting decisions they've made, and actually they defended this, and I don't think they need to, is they did not include a map. And traditionally, a game like this would include a map. And they decided that the way they're going to handle this is through environmental storytelling and directions, rather than, tell the player exactly where they are. And thus far, it's working for me. I've gotten lost like once or twice, but never in a way that I felt like I was stuck. I was always able to go somewhere new.
So this is a kind of a very personal take. I think depending on who you ask, you get a very different answer. But what I've found is, and this is a recent thing I've been doing, where I just don't use maps. Like, I'll turn off the setting to create a map. I enjoy games more if I can't just pull out a map. If I've got to remember environmental cues, landmarks, be like, oh, right, I got to turn here. I enjoy games more. it adds something to the game without making it arbitrarily difficult. Sometimes getting lost is the best way to find new stuff. So one of the things I love in a lot of games like this is exploration. You find secrets, you find places you've never been before. And when I do that, I feel like I've solved a puzzle. And it's incredibly satisfying. And I had the same experience in other games like Clair Obscur or some other games where I just didn't use a map. I just kind of tried to figure things out on my own. And I think they did a good thing here by making players do that.
Yeah, Mike, you've been playing it as well.
Actually, I feel like there was talk about Clair Obscur too, because the individual areas don't have maps. And I stand behind that for the same reason as you, Bob. Like, I like that. Also, I think especially in 3D games and like a lot of modern games that have like really helpful and detailed mini maps, like it's so easy and to like fall into the trap of like, you're just watching the mini map while you go around and you're not even looking at the game.
100%.
And I'm like, well, but I want to get to that thing over there. But I'm like, it's so hard to like tell myself not to do that sometimes. So I'm like, it's nice to just not have a map. So you don't have that. And yes, like so far, I'm not as far as you guys and Mina, but I feel the same way. Like having the town in what I guess is the center and everything around it, like it doesn't seem too complicated figuring out roughly where you are, and you move so fast. I wanted to also add like what you were saying, Bob, about the digging mechanic. I think the other reason that it works and doesn't feel like a gimmick is that it's so core to everything you do. Like, it's a way to move around faster. It's a way to like pick things up. It's a way to like dig under things. Like they used it in so many ways. It doesn't feel like just, it doesn't feel like a gimmicky item in Zelda where you're like, oh yeah, well, I get this thing and this thing lets you do this one thing. It's something that she has and can do, and it works. It's used for so many different things. I didn't know that you can like expand I knew I could tell there was a way to expand your jump some way or cross bigger distances. So I can see that too. So yeah, it's just everything you guys have been saying is like pretty much how I feel too. The retro sensibilities with modern mechanics and gameplay and feel is so important. It really is. It does feel like something you have played, even though I haven't. It feels great to play. I think it's important for people to understand I know not as hard as Dark Souls, but like when you look at it, you're like, oh, cool. It's like Zelda. It's like, no. I am not a Souls player. So like, I'm not going to say I know it's not as hard as one of those games, but I also don't play those games because that's not a level of challenge I personally want. But going into this thinking it's like Zelda, it's like, it's much harder than that.
Yeah.
Like you can get killed very fast, but it's like a Souls game or other challenging games. Like you are meant to like at least get used to how the enemies move, how they attack. And, it really does reward skill. So when whether you're exploring somewhere or in a combat situation, when you do figure out, oh, this is how I get through this without dying, it does feel really satisfying.
Well, I think the challenge is great because it's open world in a sense. I mean, there's meat gates, so technically you can go anywhere, but some places you're going to get punished hard for going. But if you're stuck somewhere, maybe you just shouldn't be there right now. So you can go in a different direction. Any other cardinal direction, you could find something new that could strengthen you, help you out. Maybe change your play style a bit. So the fact that it's open world gives you options, and there's so many different trinkets you can get, and so many different ways to play. You can really just find a style that suits you, and that might get you through those hard places.
Yeah, and that too is kind of an old school sensibility. Like, it's so easy in a lot of games now, where whether they're open world or not, where you're like, oh, you can go anywhere. So it's like, and you're encouraged to do that, and that's fine. But like, there is sort of something fun about going somewhere and be like, oh, I really shouldn't be here. And if you can get through it or get around it or whatever, like, great, good for you. But, sometimes it does also help you. Maybe it plays into the whole thing with the map too. It's like, well, you don't really need a map to know you shouldn't be here because you figured it out when you walked in and died immediately.
As I understand it, there is intended order isn't the right word, because you can go anywhere and you can do it in any order. And just in terms of the difficulty curve, I actually went off it. I accidentally went to the farm area before they went to the swamp. I think it goes. Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, it was challenging, also scary. Although I have to admit, the farm area after you beat it has one of the most pitch perfect dark jokes I've ever seen in a video game. I loved it.
This is a dark game in general.
It's a dark game. It has a sense of humor, but it is a dark game.
Yes.
And like part of the reason why the navigation works, it follows the Disneyland model, which is hub and spoke. So Mike, like you said, the hub, the village right in the middle of the map, and then that extends off into various spokes. So, go off to swampland or go off to farmland or beachland. And it works extremely well. And boy, oh boy, I am really having a good time with this. And I'll tell you why. Specifically, I loved Shovel Knight, and it made complete sense because it's Yacht Club Games. Despite being a completely different genre, this feels like Shovel Knight. Like it has the same feeling of it. It's the same feeling of discovery. Like if you notice a crack in a wall, you can hit it with your whip and the wall just explodes and reveals like a secret room or a new path or even just some, money. And that is very, very Shovel Knight. Like you can see the DNA, you can see the connection between those two games.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the first time in my memory, anyway, the music, while it is stellar, when I see Mina the Hollower in my library or I'm about to load it up, I'm thinking of Shovel Knight music. So like, it's not because like the soundtrack's not good, but it's got the same DNA. It just feels so much like the same world.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it does feature two characters who dig. So
true. I'm glad you mentioned like the secret like pathways and stuff. There's so much of that. And I think that's another thing that really makes the game so much fun to explore because you're constantly finding little things. Like sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it isn't, but like so much of the map is connected in really interesting ways where you're like, oh, well, eventually it looks like I can go from here to here, but I'm not sure when I can open that up. And then suddenly you find yourself on the other side of that gap, or you can lower this rope. And the way it like gradually becomes more easily traversable and more connected it's really satisfying every time you find that kind of stuff.
It plays this trick of I'm dangling something in front of you. You want it, don't you? You want it, don't you? And then you figure out how to get it. And it's like a mini celebration every single time. They've mastered the art of doing that.
They have. And one of the coolest things is a lot of these areas are completely optional as well. So if you knock down a wall and you can go off to the right, or if you notice a place where you can dig in and go under, oftentimes you'll end up in what's basically a challenge room, and you do not need to be there. It's not the critical path, but at the end of the challenge room, there'll be money, or there might be a shop of some kind, or there might be a new power up, and they're completely optional. You don't have to do them to beat the game, but they are very, very challenging platforming points or combat. And I like that. I like the fact that it does make some of the harder areas a little bit more optional for players who might not be as good as some other players are.
Yeah, and that's I think the art of doing difficulty well in a lot of different games. Mario's famous for doing it as well. Like you could beat the game pretty easily in any Mario game, but if you want all the secret goodies, that's going to be a lot harder. And I think that's the right way to do difficulty. And again, like you said, they nailed it here.
Yeah, well, actually, alongside that, there are a tremendous number of accessibility options and like completely easily accessible cheats to the game. So you have, obviously, the game, you have the extended experience, but you can make things easier. You can make it so when you die, you don't have to return back to the place where you died and catch in this game, I think it's a spark. You don't have to get it, or else you lose all your bones, which are literally bones are money. It's funny. You can turn that off, and you can change some of the enemy AI. So you can customize the game to your desired skill level.
It's great that they do that, because so many times, not me personally, but I've heard so many people complain about the way a game is designed. Like, that's such crap. I wish they didn't do that. I hate when games do this. Just turn it off, and they let you do that. And it's an exhaustive list. I looked at the list. It is gigantic.
Oh, yeah. And it was like that for Shovel Knight as well. They had like massive lists of all the things you could change, including like, I suspect that at some point, I might be wrong about this, but looking at their looking at what they've done in the past with Shovel Knight and looking at how the character art is like, there's a little piece of character art with Mina in the middle when you pause the game. I'm like, yeah, I can see them switching out that piece of character art for one of the other characters that we've met and doing another campaign of the game, and this time charging people for it. And God, I'd buy it.
Yeah. Please help me spend money on your games.
It's interesting. I don't even know how to put this. I wouldn't call it an accessibility option really, but you can do gender switching for any character in Shovel Knight. So if you want to play as Shovel Knight as a woman, you can do so. If you want Shield Knight to be a guy, you can do that. I feel like that will also come because that was a fairly popular feature. I'm sure the right will lose their about that as well, but like
they're not playing this game.
Yeah, probably not. It's too woke. You're playing as a
female
scientist,
mouse, please.
A female mouse scientist adventurer,
oh no,
Edwardian adventurous kind of character. I'm really having a good time with this game. It's very, very good. It doesn't feel overwhelming either. Like I don't feel like I'm going to be playing it forever. I feel like it's going to have an ending in the next couple of days. And I actually really like that because I feel like it's not asking too much of me, but I can't put it down. It's so good.
I think it's very important. I'm 20 hours in. I feel like I'm nearing the end. But it doesn't wear out its welcome. I've not hit the point where I'm like, all right, wrap it up. Like that's not happened to me yet. And that's hard to do because they're constantly surprising you. They're constantly throwing new things at you. They're somehow using the design to hide things in unique ways every single time. I mean, you're going to have the cracks in the walls and all that, but the layout, the way they use different powers and weapons and all that different mechanic, it's incredibly satisfying the entire way through, and it never feels repetitive.
I am very, very glad that this game is apparently a massive success because Yacht Club Games, like we said, it looked like they might be in a little bit of financial trouble. And this game is number one in the eShop right now on the Switch. I think it sold better in the last day than like Shovel Knight did in its first month. So it looks like this is on its way to being a pretty big hit. And thank God for that, because I do not want these guys going anywhere. I want them to keep turning out games because they're very, very good at it.
Yeah. And I think the genre switching was so smart on their part because, yeah, it's still kind of platformy, but there is a depth of design they can accomplish in an action RPG. I don't think they could really do in Shovel Knight. I think the genre limited them a little bit, and they did phenomenal work given it. But I think with a game designed like this, there's so much more you can do. And they've flexed and they've said, look at what else we can do. I hope they change up genres again for their next game.
I want Shovel Knight to be a playable character in this. I feel like they can do it.
It's inevitable.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shovel Knight has appeared in so many other games, other indie games and stuff as like guest characters here and there. Like I'm sure.
Like, dude, he digs. It works.
Yeah.
If for anyone out there is a little bit put off by the graphic style because maybe you didn't grow up with a Game Boy Color or you don't recognize it, or the pixel art looks a little bit, I would say almost rougher than some of the other pixel art, you should give it a try because you're going to forget it very, very soon. And the art style becomes a intrinsic piece of the game where you just melt into it. I know that I'm going on and on about this game, but it really is hitting me where I live. I'm so glad this came out, and I'm so glad that Yacht Club survived to the point where they could release it.
It really is one of those games where you just want to keep gushing about it, and you're almost, not you specifically, Jono, but like feel like you just will repeat the same words over and over just because I need you to know how good this game is. It's got that kind of enthusiasm to it, and
it's such a logical progression from Shovel Knight, which was, because it was a platformer based on basically Mega Man, it was limited by its scope in that you go into a level, at the end of the level there's a boss. Here it's much more expansive than that. You can run into a boss like randomly in the middle of an area where you're not expecting it. There are tons of optional bosses as well. There's so much just optional content that you can find if you go just a little bit off the critical path. And I love that kind of game. And
thank God they're not doing like the fire area, the snow area.
That too.
I hate that stuff, and they've gotten away from it. Fantastic. There's a farm area, like fantastic. But it's not just like for farm's sake. It's like, oh, it's a town and it's got a story, and they have their own challenges and stuff. It works so well.
The one last thing I want to say about Mina is it is very, very funny. It is very, very dark. And something this game has is character, and specifically lots of characters. Every NPC in this game feels like a unique person that exists in the world. I don't feel like there are any NPCs here for the most part. There are some that are just walking around town, but like the people who populate this world feel very, very unique to this world. And I love that.
There's so many of them.
I know.
I mean,
and they all have character art too.
Yeah, like Shovel Knight has his little village, and there's like a dozen, maybe a dozen characters or something. But this town is packed with characters, all different types of animals. There's so much variety. Yeah, it's very cool.
The world is packed with characters. I mean, get outside the town a bit.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that actually is a good way to transition into the next game we're going to be talking about, which is Coffee Talk Tokyo, because Coffee Talk, basically the whole game is about talking to characters, and there are some characters in these games. So, Audra, you've played Coffee Talk Tokyo for us, and you're reviewing it.
Oh, yes.
I just want to give a little bit of background for Coffee Talk before we start talking about it. And it started with the Indonesian indie development studio. Is it Toj Production? I think it is.
I believe so.
Yeah, and it started out as like a game jam kind of game, and then it developed, and then it expanded into a full release in 2020. And it pulled a tremendous amount of inspiration from the Japanese television series Midnight Diner. And the original creator, writer, and designer, Mohammed Fahmy, I believe, really basically wrote himself into the game, not as a character, but like the kind of person that he was. It was a very unique voice. And he died 2 years after the game was released in March of 2022 at 32 years old. And that was devastating for countless reasons. He was a leader in the Southeast Asian indie gaming community. Obviously, Coffee Talk had developed a massive following by that point. And they were currently working on the sequel, Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. They did complete the game and they released it. It expanded on the world. It still took place in Seattle, an alternate reality version of Seattle that is populated by fantasy characters. And they have decided to transition beyond that now. And they're not going to be in rainy Seattle anymore. They're going to be in Tokyo. Obviously, it's right there in the title.
Yes.
And I have to ask, before we get into this, does it still feel like Coffee Talk?
Yes, it pretty much does. It beyond the set changing, the characters, the storylines, the gameplay, it's all very familiar. If you happen to be at all a fan of the other two games in the series, you can kind of pick it up right away and be like, oh yes, this is Coffee Talk. Well,
I happen to not be a fan of the series, not because I dislike it. It's just because I haven't played it, although I did install it on my system. But it's right now I'm looking at it. It's in my games folder, but also Mina's right over there. So I'll be waiting for a little while to play it. But because of that, Mike, you are one of the biggest Coffee Talk fans that I know, and you've also been playing this. How do you feel about it?
Oh, I think it's great so far. We haven't finished it yet, but I'm really glad you brought up the originals and the main guy behind it, because I think that's a really good question, something to look at in this game. And I'm really impressed actually with the team, because I feel like they really have continued that spirit of the first two games into this one. And like Audra said, it's familiar territory in terms of like what you're doing, and you're like learning about these characters and their different problems and what's going on in their lives, and the way they like meet and interact with each other. It's all completely different from the other games. Like there's, so far what I've played, there's one overlap. There's one character recurring from the other games. So they're all different characters, and nothing feels like a retread. It doesn't feel like, oh, well, this is like this person in this game. Like everyone is very unique. They have their own lives and issues and interactions. So yeah, I'm really impressed with it so far.
It's interesting that the game started out as a riff on Midnight Diner, which is a series about a late night diner in Tokyo, and now they have brought it full circle, so to speak. Whereas now you are a coffee shop in Tokyo. Yeah.
Also, anyone listening to this, if you haven't seen Midnight Diner, please watch it. It's so good. It's one of my favorite. Like, I don't remember how many seasons it ran or how many we even got here in English, but I absolutely love that show.
Looks like there were 5 seasons, 10 episodes each in each one, so about 50 episodes.
Yeah, but I don't remember if Netflix eventually brought all 5 out, or maybe they did under different names last time I checked. But yeah, I mean, and then you're still making drinks. Like, they've expanded the drinks a little bit. Like, there's some different ingredients.
Now you can do hot and cold.
Yeah, the cold drinks is great, right? Like, you have a little fridge. Which makes sense
because it's summer and yeah.
Yeah,
it's actually like pretty interesting.
Whipped cream and ice cream. So like now there's like even more combinations you can make.
Sorry, I'm looking. Sorry, before we move on, I'm looking at Midnight Diner. This looks like a show that I kind of might want to check out because it looks pretty cool.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I have not seen it. No.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. I had to seek out and find the intro song for that too. It's firmly in my like lo-fi chill music playlist. It's really, really, it immediately gets you in the headspace, which is actually fitting too. Like, maybe, I don't know how much of that inspiration was for the music in Coffee Talk, but still, like, the music is very core to the experience. So
that makes sense. Another thing that's core to the experience are the characters, whereas this takes place in the same universe as Coffee Talk, even if it doesn't take place in the same city. And in Coffee Talk, like I said, mythological creatures exist with humans, and they live modern lives. They're not like strange. They just live modern lives with the humans. And that is continued here, but this time they are pulling from Japanese folklore. And I imagine that is fertile soil for some very interesting character designs and characterizations.
Oh, yes, there's some I actually had to look up some of the yokai that they actually used for this game, but it ended up being a learning experience, and it was a pretty interesting. They picked some very interesting designs, and I think like Makoto's design in particular is really unique and expressive for the fact that he doesn't have like a face.
Yeah, like what is he supposed to be?
He is a Noperabo.
Okay.
Which they apparently can appear as human, but they are known for not having facial features.
Oh, I see. Okay. I did a couple of days ago peek at your review, and like I appreciate that you did talk about that. And that you included links to a lot of these different like yokai and stuff. So I think that's going to be helpful for people reading that, including me. So yeah, I'm glad you went into that research because it's very cool. I think that's another thing that's great about how they differentiate from the other games, is like basing the characters on a very different like set of, I don't want to say creatures, but you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Supernatural forces.
Yeah.
While still making it relatable. Like, the stories are very grounded, it's taking place in a fantastical world, but the stories are very grounded in a way that the player will be able to identify with. And that juxtaposition, I imagine, is very effective.
Yes, I think that's pretty much the heart of the stories, actually, is that you can relate so much to the characters, but then they're also going through very unique situations that are just relatable, even though everyone has different experiences. I feel like there's almost like a universal feeling about the storyline in that way.
That's probably also why Midnight Diner was such a success and why so many people love it. There's just something relatable about going to a place, whether it be a coffee shop or a bar or something like that, someplace you regularly go. It becomes in many ways a second home, and even more so if you get to know some of the people who exist in that space.
And it's really neat seeing them interact with each other when their paths cross, because some of them end up becoming very close friends and sometimes maybe even rivals and stuff.
Yeah. I'm seeing some of that in this one. And I always like that in the other two games too, because, you'll have some characters that you'll meet or come into the game like they know each other. In this case, you have a husband and wife and their kid are all characters in the game. So you'll see like some of them come in as pairs and these people know each other, but like the different combinations and seeing how different people interact and learn about one another, it's very satisfying. And yeah, like you said, Audra, I think it's really important that despite the setting and what's going on, like it's all so, I don't want to say normal, but like it's all relatable. It's like, you have this like pop star who's like kind of quite having, I guess imposter syndrome. It's like, is this really something I'm good at? Like I'm not really feeling it. And yeah, kind of like in the first game, how Freya was like having some trouble with her writing at first until she kind of figured out and got into a groove.
And then actually, I could kind of so relate to not personally, but my mother just retired, so the whole thing with the COPPA salaryman who retired after 40 years of work and was struggling to find his place in life after that.
Right.
I was like, oh, yeah. It just reminded me of that.
Yeah, like I know, like I like the part where like a day or two after, whenever you see him the second time, he comes in and he's still in his suit. And like your character is like, you're still wearing your suit, even though you're retired. And he's like, yeah, I don't really know what else to wear kind of thing. So again, very, very traditional, like relatable stuff in this fantastical world.
The biggest criticism that I've heard about this game is also one of its strengths, as I understand it, which is it's coffee talk. It doesn't super advance on the formula. It doesn't really push it forward very much. It exists as what it is. And if you are looking for this experience, I think that's actually what you want out of it.
I think so too. I think they were having it in the new setting and without as many of the returning characters and stuff helps it be newcomer friendly, I think, in a way. But if you're at all familiar with you can just basically pick up any coffee talk game really, and except for maybe episode 2 before 1. Yeah. And then you can just play along with them and see how things develop.
It's an infinitely flexible formula in the sense that they really could just do this around the world with different countries exploring the folklore of those regions. Now, whether or not they would do that, I don't know. We don't know where they're going to take it after this. I wouldn't be surprised if they release another one because this is a beloved series for a reason.
I think there's something charming about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost weirdly like we talked about Dragon Quest earlier. There's a tradition and things people look for in Dragon Quest. And I mean, outside of the drink making, like these are visual novels. Like I'm not saying I'm not fond of innovation or whatever, but most of the game is dialogue in the story. So like, no, it doesn't change the fact that you're mostly reading stories. Like, I don't know what you're really meant to do different. Like the main thing I think is that have a different cast, have different characters. And like episode 2, I think was great. You had new characters and returning ones. This one, they really said, no, we're going to do almost an entirely new cast. I think that is what you do to differentiate in a genre like this. No one feels like, this is the Tokyo version of this character. Everyone feels very different. And
they even managed to keep like using the social media feeds. They do throw in like Easter eggs. If you are familiar with the previous 2 games, they'll have like under the hashtags, like you'll get a photo from a character from one of the previous games and stuff, which I thought was just an homage.
I was just going to ask you if you've been doing that, because every time we go into a new day, I go look through the feed and then we'll see stuff from like Aqua or other characters in the other games, which, if you didn't play the other games, that's fine. You're not losing anything, but it's a really nice thing. Like even like artwork and screen photos of these characters and seeing what they're up to now. I really like to put that stuff in there.
I kind of feel like that in a weird way about the Yakuza series. It's just like meeting old friends, seeing how they're doing. And that is, I imagine the people in the Portal of Coffee Talk are probably doing considerably better than the characters in Yakuza.
Yeah, probably.
There's a crossover.
That's
a crossover waiting to happen. It's now taking place in Tokyo. Kiryu comes into the coffee shop, talks about his problems.
I mean, look.
Or it turns out to be LeBlanc from P5 or something.
I would love to see Kiryu or Majima or Ichiban, any of them, like in this visual style of Coffee Talk, I actually think that would be really funny as like a DLC or something.
I would enjoy seeing that as well.
Yeah.
That would be the push that finally gets me to play it.
I think the closest we're going to get, at least for us at RPG Fan, is I don't know how private this is, but Nikki's been playing Tomodachi Life, and one of the characters she did recreate in there is Ichiban. And I'm like, that's just really funny to me. Like seeing the kind of characters and people that people are making in that game and in that setting is just hilarious.
That's really cute. I also can 100% buy that. Yeah, I want to play this game. I just have too much to play. As I think that is the...
I can relate to that.
I have a lot in life of a video game fan, or actually of any fan at all, of a television fan, a movie fan, a book fan, especially a book fan. Oh God, as bad as I feel about my video game backlog, I look at how many books are in a library. I'm like, oh God, that would be hell. And I love reading, but
if you're interested, like I don't know how long this one is. I'm sure Audra can weigh in, obviously, but I feel like the first two games were like 10 to 12 hours at most, and that was like if you went back and redid things to get alternate story routes. So they're not a huge commitment.
I think this one's about more or less the same length,
yeah,
give or take.
I wanted to actually want to know what I might, because I've been blasting through a lot of games this year, which surprisingly, I think I'm just making up for lost time. And playing shorter games, I find, is a wonderful way to simulate a feeling of accomplishment. Whereas, like, I have Octopath Traveler sitting in this folder right now, Octopath Traveler 0 sitting in this folder right now, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I really want to play you. You're going to take me 60 to 70 hours, aren't you? Yes, you are. And then I look just to the left of it, and I'm like, Coffee Talk. That seems like a more reasonable scale of time that I can spend on it.
Put it between your bigger games, use it as a buffer.
Yeah, that's usually what I do. There's a couple other games here that I really have been catching my attention lately. There's a point and click adventure game called Perfect Tides, and its sequel came out a couple of months ago, and it is people who play it say that it's almost a life-changing game and one of the best games to capture what it feels to be basically in your 20s ever written. And I'm like, that sounds great. I don't know if I'm ready for that right now. Too much going on. But I feel like Coffee Talk is so gentle and nice and relaxing, and the music is so cool and lo-fi, and it's that seems like a game that you could just chill to.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep, cozy and chill.
Yeah. Well, next week, as I said, is going to be not E3, and I thought I already did the discussion question, sort of, we were talking about Dragon Quest 12, but I thought I would just ask everyone, do you have any hopes for this year's not E3? Anything you'd really like to see come out of any of the big studios? Any games specifically that you're really waiting for it? Is there anything you want to see basically in the next week?
I feel so cliche saying this. I want another Final Fantasy remake, and there's always those rumors of 9. I'll take anything. I'll even take 8. Just give me something. I want to see more of the same caliber we've seen of 7, although I don't know how likely that is given how much effort those games have taken.
I am going to put my chips on the table and say I think they're going to announce a Chrono Trigger remake.
Dude, why? But okay,
I think it's going to be HD 2D. I think it's going to be a remake, and I think it's going to be out in the next year.
Is this a wish, or do you have a reason for thinking?
Oh, this is not a wish. I do not wish this at all. This is if I was in Zeal, I would not be wishing for this. No, this is a prophecy.
I mean, honestly, the fact that Chrono Trigger has not appeared on any consoles, they could port the Steam one over and just put it on Switch and PlayStation, and they could have done it years ago. The fact that they haven't tells me they are doing something with it. I don't know what's taking them so long, but I am sure that's going to happen at some point. I don't know if it's next week, but yeah, I I would love for it. I'm not going to get my hopes up for it. I think the Final Fantasy IX remake would also be great, whether it would be cool, real or scrapped or whatever. There's so many rumors now. No one really knows, but I think what I want them to do, I feel like at some point they need to learn this lesson. Big publisher having unrealistic expectations and no limit to their budget on games. When games come out and they're like, oh yes, we sold X million copies, it was a flop. I'm like, you need to shift your priorities. Yes. So, like that mindset led to that comment last year before, where they're like, well, we would remake Final Fantasy VI, but it would take us 20 years. And like, it shouldn't take you 20 years. Final Fantasy VI is a big game, but it's not as big as 7. So like, you don't need to do it that way. We have other remakes. You can get stuff like, look at Live Alive and other HD, like the HD 2D Dragon Quest. Like, you don't have to do it like remake. And if it's going to take you 20 years, find a different path, whether it's remake 6 or 9 or whatever. Yeah, I would love to see something like that. I mean, they've been talking here and there about, like, they finished development on the last chapter of 7 and they're working on it. So we could get a teaser for that. Now that Rebirth is going to be out on all the platforms too, like, it might be the time to show the third one.
I would be surprised if they didn't show something, even a teaser of it.
I agree. Yeah, I think they know people want to see something. I think it's going to help them sell more copies if they stretch out the exposure. It's a 2027 release. I'm absolutely certain of it. So we're going to get some now, and then we're going to get some more at the Game Awards.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah.
I'm picturing the Final Fantasy VI remake. Now, they do 2 of them. They'd follow the same thing. It would be Final Fantasy VI Balance and Final Fantasy VI Ruin.
Yes, that's true.
That would be awesome.
They really would do the 7 thing where they would split it into 2 different sections. That sounds pretty fucking awesome, actually. Never mind.
6 needs love, but I think it's in this weird spot where, we're all getting older, and I don't know if, newer gamers have the same love and reverence for 6 that we all have. It's one of those things where, when I was younger, everyone was always debating 7 or 6. Which one's better, 7 or 6? Now, I don't even think anyone talks about 6 anymore in the younger crowd.
No, they don't. And that, to be fair, that would actually be a good reason to release Final Fantasy VI in this manner, because they could revive they're not reviving the IP, it's Final Fantasy, but they could revive that specific aspect of the IP. And I think that Final Fantasy VI is, I know that all of us have nostalgia for it, but it is a high water mark in terms of character, story, everything else. It's a masterpiece for a reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly though, what they did with the HD 2D opera scene and the rest of the pixel remaster, I thought I'm fine with that. I'm fine if they left it there. I'd be good. To be honest, there's what I want for a Chrono Trigger remake. I don't want a remake. If they do a pixel remaster, I would be happy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The thing is with the pixel remaster, like 5 and especially 6 look the least upgraded because they didn't have to do as much. I feel like visually a lot of what those remasters are is like bringing some of the older games up sort of to that standard. Yeah. I don't know that Chrono Trigger needs that.
I would take a widescreen Chrono Trigger though.
Well, yeah. I don't know. You know what? As much as I like remakes and stuff like this and like all of these things we're talking about, I would play. Honestly, what I'm most excited to see at Summer Game Fest and the other shows that I like are the things that I couldn't guess. I have a lot of
the surprises.
I mean, I am guilty as the next person of replaying old games and having a lot of nostalgia. And if you want to give me that game again, or I just go back and play my library, or you want to remake it, I do love all that. But seeing stuff that I'm like, I never imagined this was a game that someone could make, that kind of stuff.
Haven't read something original, something new.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Just the things I'm not expecting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the right answer too. And it's hard to answer the question and say like, oh, I just want to, be surprised and all that, because there's so many things we're aware of that could exist, like sequels or remasters, remakes, things like that. But I think the real answer is fresh, new IPs, new ideas, new characters, new worlds. And I think most people, whether they're going to voice it or not, do want exactly that.
And we're going to find out. Yeah. And we're going to find out very soon.
And I think now, like personally, like for me, like so many of my favorite series and franchises, like, we got a couple new Zelda games in the last few years. We got a new Metroid game recently. So like all these things where I'm like, oh, I want to see this. I want to see this. Like, well, those have happened now. So like, I can't think of anything else. Like, no, I'm happy with those.
Where's my Star Tropics remake?
Wow. Oh my God.
Where do you land on that one, Bob?
That's just so random. I love it.
I mean, there are worse things for them to come up with an IP to revive. I hate the second one, but I love the first one.
There was a second Star Tropics?
Yeah, Star Tropics 2. It's an entire time travel game.
Oh,
we did a random or a retro about it a few years ago.
Dang. Came out very, very late in the NES life cycle.
That's why
nobody knew about it.
Yeah.
Nobody knew about it.
And I think we talked about it back then too. It's like nobody knew about it because they named it Zoda's Revenge and in tiny font under it, Star Tropics 2. So like you wouldn't have known unless you played Star Tropics, you wouldn't know who that character is. So that was a weird way of titling it.
Yeah, it was. There were a lot of weird choices back then in terms of marketing, and that certainly they didn't give a crap about the Nintendo at that stage of the game. Certainly, that's not true. They still gave a crap about the Famicom apparently, but Nintendo was just done with it in the United States after the Super Nintendo 2 came out. Super Nintendo 2. The Super Nintendo came out.
The Super Nintendo 2?
I didn't know about that either.
The Super Nintendo 2. Yeah, the Super Nintendo 2. It was the 64-bit system, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. I'm glad. I'm
derailed.
Derailed, and also I'm still a little bit irritated that they called the stupid thing the Switch 2. But anyway,
I understand that. I get it, and the fact that we have things like the iPhone 18 coming out this year is it's so bland. It's such a bland way of naming things. At the same time, though, it at least makes sense.
They're trying to avoid another Wii U disaster,
or Xbox.
I guess we count ourselves lucky that they didn't call it Zoda's Revenge Switch 2.
Yes.
Well, thank you all for joining me today, and we're recording this on a Saturday night, and it's late too, and I just thank you very much for giving me your evening and playing these games and talking with me about them. I really appreciate it.
It's always fun.
Yeah,
it was fun.
It's going to be a big couple of weeks, so everyone enjoy the next few weeks as much as you can. Frankly speaking, by the end of Not E3, I'm just like, I'm done. I don't want to see another game trailer ever again. I'm just beaten with game trailers. And then, I don't know, they'll drop like an Ocarina of Time remake at like the last second, and I'll be like, oh, I'm back in again.
When do you think we're going to reach the point where people are like, wait, what's E3? What are you talking about?
We're already there. Jono just hasn't accepted it yet.
That's right.
Jono doesn't want to call it Summer Game Fest, even though that's what it is now.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea that at some point somebody's going to be like, yeah, not E3. And then someone else is going to be like, what's E3? And they're going to be like, I don't know. It's just a name now. Anyway.
Note 3.
If anyone out there would like to support us here at RPG Fan, we've opened up a store. You can find us at www.rpgfan.com/shop. We have all kinds of things there. We have t-shirts. We have mugs. I am drinking from my mug right now. So yeah, check that out. You can also check out our past episodes of Random Encounter. On our last episode, we were talking about the latest in the Dark Pictures anthology series, Directive 8020, and Bob and I got to freak out about Alabaster Dawn, another brilliant action adventure RPG. And like I said, it's been a good couple of weeks for us, Bob.
Yeah. If that's the future of retro, I'm here for it.
Yeah. Speaking of the future of retro, we also have Retro Encounter. And they just wrapped up their 2-part series talking about what is generally considered to be the black sheep of the Final Fantasy family, Final Fantasy VIII. Now, there's a game, I've said this before, there's a game that could use a remake right there. I think that would be, I would, oh my God, I would love to see the reaction from people about that. If they announced Final Fantasy VIII remake, that would be fascinating. I don't know if people would be excited, furious, or confused.
I think these days, excited. I think 8's come back around where most people, or a lot of people, want to see that now.
I want to see it fixed.
Yeah,
I want to like it. I want so desperately to like it. And this soundtrack's killer. But it's not high on my list.
It has its moments.
It does have its moments. I agree. And I do not dislike it. I have very fond memories of going to fight a T-Rex in the training room, the training area.
That's exactly what I don't like about it.
Bob hates dinosaurs. Got it.
Bob hates dinosaurs. Breaking news. And we also have Rhythm Encounter. And there is an episode in the works, but I suspect it's going to have to wait until after not E3, right, Mike?
Huh? What's Rhythm Encounter? Yeah. There's a lot. I don't know if you know this, but I have a lot on my plate at the site. So running a podcast on top of those, unfortunately, just has had to take a back seat lately. But I really want to get back to it.
Yeah, and trying to do that with not E3, Summer Game Fest in the windshield is not a great idea because there's going to be so much news and so much to do over the next few weeks. So if you'd like to get in contact with me, you can fire me off a message at podcast@rpgfan.com. I would love to hear from you. If you have any ideas for future episodes or discussion questions or anything like that, please feel free to fire off a message. You can also send me an email directly to jlogan@rpgfan.com, or you can also find me at jonologan.bluesky.social. I'm not the only person on here with a social media presence. Bob, where can we find you?
Bob@rpgfan.com.
You really won the lottery with that particular email address, just Bob.
I got here early.
Yeah. And Audra?
Audra B@rpgfan.com.
And Mike.
Well, if you want to send your thoughts on if Final Fantasy 8 or 13 is the true black sheep, you can email us at podcast@rpgfan.com. Or if you want to reach me, you can reach me at mike@rpgfan.com.
It's actually 13.
Throw some fire there. That's a fight. That is a fight right there. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends to help us get the word out there. And you can also rate us on iTunes or your other podcast player of choice. Again, all of you, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I hope you enjoy the next week. And to everybody out there, whatever you are playing, have fun.